Hello everybody and welcome to Azumi game Devlog week 8 or something. I don't fucking remember. It's not important. What's important is what was done. And that's what we're going to talk about today. What was done since last week. The week before this one. Not a lot to talk about this week because actually I spent the majority of this week doing something completely different. Something I normally don't do. Something that I can't even show off because it has no visual component, I suppose. I spent the entire week for the most part. That's not true, not the most part. I spent like half the week researching marketing for authors. Because, fun fact, my dad is an author. He self-published a couple books. Well, not self-published. He actually traditionally published with a small press. And we're pivoting now into self-publishing. I've helped him with editing and just kind of been the dude he bounces ideas off of. Because I was the one who told him to start publishing books in the first place. So we've kind of been semi-two-manning it for like a decade now. As he's been like writing these books. And I'm kind of sick of me putting the little effort that I do into helping and him putting all the effort into actually writing them, and these publishers he's working with not pulling their goddamn weight and doing any promotion. So I'm like, fuck it. I know social media. I know what a Facebook is. I'll do it better than these people. So I spent half the week researching and getting into the nitty-gritty of everything to do with self-publishing and promoting with Amazon ads and Facebook ads and all the other proprietary tools that authors have. As someone who is a visual artist, just to go off on a little bit of tangent, it is kind of fucking incredible how on point authors are when it comes to actually like supporting their industry. There are dozens of fucking completely custom tools and services designed specifically to help promote authors. We artists have fucking nothing. All we do is bitch on Twitter when they change the algorithm. So, yeah, artists, step your fucking game up. We're looking like retards in comparison. But enough about that. Here's my sad promotion attempt at promoting my game by posting it unlisted on my tiny YouTube channel, therefore being part of the problem I was just complaining about. The game itself, not a lot has changed. There's really kind of one thing that changed this week, and that was just tweaking the pickups, the currency system that I debuted last week. So if we go in here, I just realized that the game audio is probably still playing, isn't it? Let me go into my volume mixer quick and fix that. I know how to use programs. Oh, I already muted it from last week. I'm a genius. So yeah, this is nothing new. We've all seen this a million times before. Pardon the keyboard smash. But I went back and added to the currency drops. Because remember, in the last week I mentioned I wanted to have them home on Azumi when you were close, but it wasn't really working with pathfinding. I just had a force now that attracts them when you get close enough. So I fixed it. It's not using pathfinding, but as soon as you get close enough, they just start moving towards you. And if you move far enough away, they just stop. It's a certain amount, they'll start being pulled toward you. So it's much less of a chore to pick up currency, which is important because you need it. But you don't really want to go out of your way. You got other things you're doing, like killing stuff, and that's more fun than picking up little circles. So this kind of alleviates a lot of that. It makes it much easier to pick up the stuff. So there's less of a chance of you like, I want to keep playing the game, so I'll let that cash go and like have less money for power-ups later in the game, whatever, blah-de-blah-de-blah. That's cool, that's fine, it works, and I like it. So I don't have a lot to complain about. Yeah. I don't even think anything like worth talking about was changed in the game besides that. I think the explosion effects, the new ones that kind of had that additional effect, that was in last week's build, was it? Or no, maybe it wasn't. I changed the shockwave. There's a effect in Construct that kind of distorts a sprite, like a radial distortion. So I applied it to both the explosion and the shockwave. I think it adds a bit of extra juice. I went back in and redesigned both of them a little bit to better work with the effect. So you can see now they have a really interesting kind of like zigzaggy pop, kind of anime-esque. So I think it works better. And I think those are the two really visual changes, other than like tweaking like values here and there and whatnot. I changed the currency to go from ×3 to ×2. So if you remember from last week, it spawns random currencies and then assigns their currency value to their width ×3. Change it to ×2. ×3 seems to be a bit much. And now, depending on the size of the enemy, the big enemies drop 5 of those random currencies, and the small ones drop 3 instead of both of them dropping 4. So there you go. You get a slightly bigger reward for killing more complicated enemies. Seems to make sense. And that's it for the game. What I did the other half of the week that I wasn't researching book promotion was working on the model. So remember, I'm modeling a boss character for the game. I don't know if it's going to end up being used. Really don't. Making a boss is going to be very complicated, and I want to, sooner rather than later, release a version 2 of the public demo so people can watch it. Did my fucking music stop? I had some lo-fi beats going back. I was trying to bring back the vibes, the chill vibes, but my OBS is saying there's no sound. Hopefully it's still going. Anyways, whatever. Because I have it muted, so I can't hear it. So it doesn't come in through the mic. This guy last week, this model, this boss character, very complicated. I want to have another demo out. I don't know if I'll have enough time to build an entire boss thing. Like, a boss is going to be complicated. It needs custom logic and everything, because it's not going to work like a regular enemy. It's going to have its own behaviors, its own attack patterns. It's going to be a whole new ball game. Stuff I have never attempted before. So I don't know how complicated it's going to be. But if nothing else, I'm going to model it so I can use it in other projects and other, maybe Azumi animations, even if it doesn't end up being in the game. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But last week it was just the torso and the legs. It is now pretty much completely modeled. So if we unhide it, you can see we have everything pretty much good to go. He's going to have more spines. The reason there's only 2 right now is I modeled 1 and I'm going to duplicate it. So if we go into UV editing, I haven't finished laying out the UVs yet, but I have 1 spine. So you only texture 1 of them and then you can keep duplicating it. And so the texture will also duplicate because the UV, which is like the kind of like texture location, they'll just like duplicate completely over top themselves. So you only have to texture 1 and they'll be the same for each one. You can also see the mouth opens. That was a particularly challenging thing to do with the way I started modeling this, because I had to model the inside of the mouth after. So I added a shape key to let me open the mouth. And it's got a bit of tongue, and yeah. It's got some extra details down here, a couple extra loops. We tab into edit mode to give the claws a little bit more definition, which will probably be finangled a bit more. There's some indentations on his legs to give him a little bit more kind of like bony, gaunt kind of structure. A lot of the details are going to come out in the texture work, as is the case with basically every low poly model. But this guy's way more detailed than Azumi, honestly. Like, Azumi has texture eyes, he has completely geometry eyes, so they can be animated with shape keys and stuff like that. I don't know, he'll be interesting to rig. I've never rigged a quadruped before, so it'll be an interesting challenge, to say the very least. But yeah, I just have to do the texturing. That's the next step, and once the texturing's done, then you get to rigging, which will probably be the hardest part. But there you go. He's pretty much all modeled, except for a couple of spikes that I haven't placed yet. And I may or may not stitch the spikes into the actual geometry. You can, maybe if I wanted to, like, select these faces here and hit I to inset, and then scale that down, and then kind of stitch the spikes together, so instead of them just clipping through the mesh, they're attached directly to it. That'll probably make it easier to animate and weight paint, but this is getting some technical stuff that nobody fucking cares about. So, there you go. That's what happened this week. Next week, hopefully more things will happen. Hopefully this guy will have some color, or I might go back and start building some more systems into the game to get ready for the final public demo. Plans for the future. Something I've been mulling over in my mind. I've had a couple people in the last week or so reach out and want to help with the game. I'm very hesitant to do that because Azumi full game, whatever the fuck it ends up being called, I've always assumed would be a free browser game, because my first game, it probably won't end up being that great because I don't have any experience and I'm using a hobbyist tool. So I assumed the game would be free, which is why I didn't really want to have a ton of people working with me, because I don't have the money to pay them, right? So I wouldn't want people to work for free, because I wouldn't want to work for free unless it was on my own stuff. That's why I work for pretty much just patron pennies, doing what I love, as opposed to working on a team for something that would be more profitable. So I wouldn't want to put anybody else in a situation that I myself would not find acceptable. That's really where the hesitation comes from. However, people seem to be okay with working for free, and I'm not going to lie, it would take a huge amount of work off my plate if I did that. And depending on how well the final demo comes together, I might even try and do a Kickstarter so I could pay people, so I could work with more people, so the game could increase in scope. I don't know how difficult it would be to find Construct developers. I just found out there's a Construct Discord server, which probably would have helped me with tons of headaches with this game. I thought there was no Discord server, fan or official, but this is a pretty well-populated, community-run Discord server, which could probably help with questions I'll have going forward, and maybe I can find more collaborators there. But I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be good enough to be a paid product, and I don't know if people would even buy it if it was. It would probably be very cheap, probably only be a couple bucks to get a copy. But if I had it be a paid product, or I had it behind a Kickstarter, even if the final version was free, if I was able to get support for a Kickstarter, I could pay people to work with me, so I'd feel less bad about bringing more people on board. I don't know. It's mulling around in the back of my mind, especially now if I'm going to start doing more book promotion and helping my dad with writing stuff. It's going to be another thing on my plate on top of IM Games, on top of making a game, on top of everything else. So there's just, you know, you can only split your time so much before you have to start shelling out money to make up for the lack of hours in the day. So, I don't know, sound off in the comments if you would pay for a Azumi game or you would support a Kickstarter. I'm assuming the answer will probably mostly be no, especially if the game ended up being free, because usually how Kickstarters work is you're not paying to support the project, even though that's how Kickstarter is supposed to work. You're paying to pre-order the game. So I don't fucking know. We'll see what happens. Another thing to say quickly before we go. IM Games, more videos are coming. I've just been really sick and fucked and going to doctor's appointments for the last couple weeks, so I haven't really had time to sit down and write scripts. I'm going to try and write a script either tonight or tomorrow, and we'll go from there. So, thanks for watching. Talk to y'all next week. Have a good one.